You know that I am called the Count, because I really love to. Sometimes I sit and all day, but sometimes I get carried away. I slowly getting faster. Once I start thinking, it's very hard to stop. Hey!
Hi all, this is Skate, and in case the overly complex or elaborate intro didn't give it away, this video is on the new Dracula and Helsing tanks. I am sorry about the intro. It's been a while since I have played with my video software, so I had to have a laugh. And the Count Dracula, the beeped out word is counting, but it's amazing what your mind will interpret. That is all I have to say on that one. So, first up, we're going to have a look at the Tier 7 T6 Dracula tank. I'm going to have a couple of replays for you, including a mastery, and then I will also do the same with the Helsing tank. First thing, appearance-wise, it's worth it for the appearance, this thing, in my opinion. It looks like the damn Batmobile. And who doesn't want to drive the Batmobile? As I said in my last video, I'm not a huge fan of fake tanks or cartoon tanks. This, though, I love the look of. It looks epic. And look how fast it is. It's a fairly big medium tank, but with 1,200 brake horsepower, and I think it's 34 brake horsepower per ton, it is blisteringly fast. Downhill you can easily go 70, and on the flats you can easily hit 64. It's a Tier 7 tank with a Tier 10 engine. So I have no complaints whatsoever on the mobility of this. The mobility is phenomenal. Couple that with a blistering turret traverse of 48 degrees, and you're going to make someone dizzy by circling them. On the gun front, it's got pretty good pen, 155, which is actually above average for Tier 7 medium tanks. You'll notice at this point though, I have been spamming APCR at that Jag Panther 2. I promise it is not because I'm a filthy gold noob and fire nothing but APCR. I actually wanted to see what the credit efficiency is like on this thing. Reality is we all do fire some APCR, so I wanted to see with APCR how good it actually is at making credits. So the standard AP, as I said, has 155mm of pen. The APCR has 237, I believe. I am actually going to check that quickly. Yeah, 237. That's more than adequate for anything you're going to need to shoot at. And as you can see next to this Tiger 2 at the moment, it's not a small medium, as I said, but it's very mobile still nonetheless. Now it is a 90mm gun, and according to the game it has a rate of fire of 8 per minute. My reload, as you can see on the screen, is actually 6.1 with the loadout and equipment I have, which I'm not the brightest spark at maths, but I think that's a rate of fire of 9.8 as a result. I'll go through the details of what equipment I use. I just have to show you my failure. I have to give him a ram. I go to shoot him, don't kill him. I think he's going to kill me. Nope, he misses as well. That's one of those moments where you have no idea why and how you are still alive. So, next thing on this as well, armor. There is none. Don't rely on it. It's awful. You may get a lucky bounce, but other than that, no. Now this game, on the credit side of things, I fired about 5 or 6 APCR rounds, which cost 4,400 silver each, and I still made 34,000 net profit. For a Tier 7 tank, I'm actually quite happy with that myself. In this game, which is a mastery play, I don't think I fire any APCR, if maybe one, and I made 74,000 net profit. Now that's a very good net profit in my opinion. In fact, that's not even my opinion, that's a fact. That's very, very good profit. The other reason, apart from the epic appearance of this tank, is the gun depression. It has amazing gun depression, minus 10 degrees. It's a very, very useful amount of gun depression. I personally prefer tanks with gun depression. I find them a lot more usable. As you could see in that intro, you literally just pop the top of the tank over the top of a dune or ridge or hill, and you're highly unlikely to get shot in comparison to sitting out wide in the open. So you may not have very good armor, but you can use your gun depression to hide as much of you as you can. Now, the only other thing I haven't mentioned is the traverse. Obviously I've mentioned how fast it is. It's got 50 degrees of traverse as well. again, there's nothing you can complain about there. Now this tank is modelled off an AMX CDC, which is a French tank. So it may not be everyone's cup of tea, my personal opinion. It's not worth the 13,000 gold, that's right, 13,000 gold to get it early, but it is well worth the grind. In fact, no tank at all is worth 13,000 gold. So, onto the gameplay. I haven't really done a lot as of yet, other than get the base and get 1 or 2 shots off. I completely dunked that shot. It's not the best tank on the move for shooting. With 0.39 for the gun dispersion, it's not the best and it's not the most accurate, and it's a damn bouncy gun actually. And if you're an idiot like me, you will miss a point-blank shot like that. Now I'm not going to sit here, out in the open, trading shot for shot with a Comet. I'll lose. Hands down I will lose. But I can use this tank next to me to cover myself. And there's a lovely friendly behind me, sitting out in the open, getting shot at, so he's got a distraction as well. I do manage a track shot there, which allows the friendly behind me to also get another shot in as well. To some, it may seem a glaringly obvious point to raise, but always try and aim for track shots, especially the front drive wheel if you can. The armor is usually very weak on most tanks behind the front drive wheel, and you obviously keep them in place while you're reloading safely behind cover. Okay, so at this point in time in the game as well, we are 4-4. I noticed this SU on very low health. So to me, logically, the best thing is to get a gun out of the game and quickly take care of him. Next on the hit list then will be the KV3 down there. Now he either has not noticed me yet, or he just doesn't care and he's aiming for something else. But again, track. Can't get the front drive wheel, obviously get the back drive wheel. I've said it in previous videos as well, that was a lucky shot. I'm not even going to say that's skill. That was lucky. But with the KV range, try and aim for the back there, because you will always set them on fire as well. So you're looking in that scenario, smack bang between the turret and the rear track wheel. I've already set him on fire once here, so it's logical to try and keep him in the same position. So take 1 shot into the tracks, take 1 shot into the engine, 1 shot into the tracks, and hopefully you should do enough then to kill him without them being able to get back at you. Now the AT-15A decides to come chase me, which is probably the worst thing he could do, because he is very slow and I'm very quick. So as long as the KV-3 does not shoot me, I should be quite comfortable staying behind him, as long as I can shoot him. Obviously I've missed 2 shots right now. Now you'll notice the M4 on my team just died. He did very well, so I have no bad words to say against him, apart from the fact he decides to call me a gold noob because I'm driving Dracula. Now my name is Wot Contributor on there. Oh, sorry. It's Premium Noob. Obviously, I think he thinks I bought the tank, which, like I said, no tank is worth 13,000 gold. But credit where credit's due, the guy had a very good game. But he obviously wasn't paying attention to other things because he just assumed I'm a Premium Noob and didn't know what I was doing. Which, in all fairness, with the shots I missed, well, yeah, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from. So, AT-15 down, just a KV-3, and as long as I'm close range like this, he has no chance of catching me. It is worth taking the 1 shot as I come past him, just so I can get in close while he's reloading. So yeah, that's that game done. It's not the hugest amount of damage for a tier 7 mastery, but obviously the mastery is pretty low on this tank at the moment. I'm still happy with the damage, 3,500, but it's the net profits, 75,000 net profits. That's a very good profit figure in my opinion. And like I said, I don't think I fired any APCR. If I did, maybe it was 1. Overall, I'd still class it as a good game myself. And more than anything, obviously one thing you'd want to know with this tank is it does make a very healthy net profit. Okay. So if we have a quick look at the loadouts I carry in this tank. Equipment wise, enhanced gun lane drive, medium caliber tank gun rammer, and improved vents. Now the reason I go with this setup is because the aim time is 2.2 and with a 0.39 gun dispersion, it's not the best accurate tank. So anything I can do to improve the aiming time on this, I will. Ammunition, 60, 22, 8. You're not really going to use much HE, or you shouldn't use much HE in a 90mm cannon. APCR, well, You can carry that much ammo in this tank, 60, 22, you're never going to use it all. Provisions wise, I go with field rations, which 10% to crew. Improved fuel, so 10% to the engine and turret. And standard fuel, 3% to the engine and 3% to the turret. Doesn't actually make a difference if you use the tinned fuel or the standard fuel. I would honestly say that's personal preference. In fact, if you want to spend the extra, I would be inclined to say go with this, because this tank can or has a habit of getting set on fire and having ammo rack damage. So if you want to avoid said ammo rack damage or said fires, this will help the protective kit. Consumables wise, repair kit, I always use that. Adrenaline, always use. And a multi-purpose restoration pack. Now you're probably wondering, based on what I just said about on the fire, why I don't use the automatic fire extinguisher. The reason being, quite simply, is as long as I keep that one and don't repair my tracks with this one, I can put the fire out, or I can use it to repair something else if I need to. So far, I've played, bear with, 20 games in Dracula. I haven't had any crew member die, but I've had countless ammo racks go, and I have had countless fires. So based on that, I would say that's a very good setup to go with. Okay, so before I jump onto Helsing, I wanted to show you this very, very quickly. So I've logged back into my account. As you can see, it's much less luxurious than the contributor account. And obviously, I'm grinding to get these tanks just like you guys. In fact, I'm probably delayed because I spent nights making this video. But it's such a silly thing to point out, but you'd be surprised how many people have asked. So I'm not trying to teach people to suck lemons, but once you've done a stage, it'll flash. And then when you click into it, I've already done this one, but it'll flash once you've done it. And you'll see in the bottom right, you've got complete. So you have to click complete on the first one, and then pick the path you want to go up. You don't have to do both lines at exactly the same time. You can go up one quicker than the other. Myself, I'll be trying to push for this one, and then I'll be going through this one. Reason being is because Dracula needs the game missions, so it'll be harder to get Dracula. Helsing, on the other hand, you can just get that from playing the game normally. You get your XP in the game, it'll account and add up in here. Or you could just spend 12,600, which is big no-no for me. Okay, back in my contributor account, and before I go through the details of Helsing, I have a new intro specifically for this tank. Childish, I am aware, but look at it. It looks like a damn chariot. This is the other reason that I'm personally going for Dracula first. It's vulgar. This thing, it's a cross between a chariot and Santa's sleigh. So I'll go through my equipment run out on this tank, and then we'll go into the videos. Obviously, it's technically an auto loader, so we can't have our gun rammer. So I have gone with enhanced gun lane drive, a camo net, and binoculars. Obviously I use this thing as a sniper. It's not the most mobile, it hasn't got a bad top speed, but it doesn't turn, and it has a very good camo rating, so as a result, it is a sniper in my book. Ammunition wise, exactly the same. It's got plenty of ammunition storage. It hasn't got a big gun, it's only 85mm, obviously it's a double-barreled 85mm, and it is the first double-barreled in the game. But as a result, the HE is not really required too much. So 62 AP, and a completely unnecessary 30 APCR. And obviously 8 HE. The key thing I would say with your ammo loads out is make sure it's always an equal number and not an odd number. Otherwise, it'll just screw up a reload for you. Provisions, I use my field rations, obviously 10% crew mastery. Tinned food, 3% crew mastery. and improved fuel, just for the extra speed. Consumables wise, obviously we can't use adrenaline, because it's an autoloader. So I use a multi-purpose restoration pack, first aid kit, and repair kit. Now, with this tank, I haven't found it has any real weaknesses as far as ammo racks and drivers being knocked out, things like that. It's actually a tough little tank on the turret. I think that's because of all the angles. So we'll get straight into some gameplay so I can give you some examples of this. It doesn't have the greatest of armour. It's got 60 on the front of the hull, 40 on the side and rear, and 80 on the front of the turret, and 50 on the side, and 40 on the rear. So it's not the greatest, but I think because it's so well angled, you'd be surprised you do get some bounces. At the moment in this game, we are playing Guess the Contributor. People shouting random names at me, I don't know what that is up there right now. Cookie Ranger, one of the guys in the game here, though I do know, so hello to him. Okay, so this is a bit of a weird game. I sucked at the start of this game, and then redeemed myself purely because of the gun. You'll see I literally get torn apart right at the very start for making a very silly mistake. These two games, though, the two I'm going to show you now, are consecutive back-to-back, and the next one is a mastery. Again, we'll run through the same details as we did on Dracula. So we've already established I hate the way this tank looks. Like I said, it's vulgar. In 6 months' time, Dracula will still look epic. This thing won't. Kind of like when you took out Tankenstein, you'd go, oh, someone I know has seen me in it. Great. It's Halloween, it's the right time of year at the moment though, so you're okay to take out Tankenstein, don't worry, I've taken mine out. But, I digress, back onto the game. You'll see I have done no damage so far, and I've just taken a beating and only have 300 health left, right at the start of the game. This is where the one redeeming factor, and it is the one redeeming factor in my opinion, of this tank comes back. It's the gun. That is the only redeeming factor. And look at Dracula in front of me. Even taking his track off, it still looks cool. Okay, so the gun. Glaringly obvious by this point, it's a double-barreled gun. So it's a twin 85mm, each shell does 200 damage, and they fire 0.25 seconds after each other. Which effectively means you will do 400, or averagely 400 damage every reload. Clip reload takes 10 seconds. Obviously we can't use a rammer to improve that, so we are stuck relying on just our provisions. The gun dispersion as well is 0.36, which is a respectable figure, with 2.1 aiming time, also fairly respectable. I would say with this gun, let it aim as much as possible. Reason being is obviously after you've fired, your gun dispersion goes bigger. So if you don't leave it aim fully, your second shot's going to go sky high completely away from the target. And the one thing I have noticed with this gun, it is very handy if you are in a situation where you're on low health, it's you or them. Because obviously you fire 2 shots at them and they only fire 1 at you. Also, it's great for ammo racks. You damage the ammo rack with the first one, and as long as you're fully aimed, you're more than likely going to hit the same spot and take the ammo rack out then. That's the positives out of the way. It's got sod all gun depression off the front. I would go as far as saying I think it's 0. It's got a couple of degrees more on the side, very negligible amounts. But it has got good gun elevation, so it kind of fits in with the second SU line. Okay, so as you saw at the start of this match, I did awful, and I literally nearly died within the first few seconds without doing any damage. I did redeem myself thankfully, and that is thanks to the gun. So here I did 2,500 damage and 56,000 credits net, which I do think is also very, very good credits. So on a credit making front, it's good. Both of them actually, they are better than my E25, sadly. I still continue to play my E25 more, but these are both very good at making credits. Okay, so it is pure luck that I got a mastery on both of these on Copperfield, this time in a tier 8 game, and obviously starting from the other side. I'm going to try show you some of the lack of gun depression first. So there's a tiny little ridge by here, and you got to get right up, and there you go, I've maxed the gun depression already. So you do have to go off the side, and as you can see, you get a little bit more. Again, negligible amounts. You can't really take advantage of any dunes. There, I can just see the top of the IS-3. But I did bounce it. So there's a perfect example of the armour being strange or trollishly bouncy. And that was a comet hitting me. Now in any scenario when a driver runs into me like that, I'm assuming they're running around without paying attention, so I will avoid just so I don't get blocked. Which is when obviously I notice the other side and take some shots off. There you can see a good example of the gun again, or the benefit of the gun. First shot didn't go through. In any other scenario I'd have to wait for that to reload. In this one I managed to get my second shot in. So here we can give you another nice example of how this gun works or how it plays at long range. But first we need to cause some damage and take out that tiger. And then we can check and obviously sort out the other side then. Now there is nobody round there except for those 4 reds on their way over to come and say hello. So obviously I do need to turn around and try and delay them. Now the worst part about this tank, I have not mentioned yet. I have actually, but not in detail. Maneuverability. Track traverse is a whopping 30 degrees. And the turret traverse is a staggering, amazing 16. Just as a nice comparative for you, the T-28 prototype has a shockingly slow turret. That has 18 degrees. The other tanks in this game with the same turret traverse speed as this tank is a T-30 and an E4. So if mediums do get up close and personal to you, you will struggle. In fact, if Dracula gets up close and personal to you, it will run rings around you in this. Now while I was rambling on there, you'll see I just managed another strange or trollish bounce off the turret of this tank from the Tiger II. You can't reliably bounce, but you'd be surprised what does actually bounce off the turret of this. This, I find, is the best way to play this tank. If you side scrape it out of buildings, you have a good chance of bouncing, and obviously you can get yourself back in very quickly. Obviously at this point in the game it is now just a case of clearing up. You'll see there, aiming for the T-44, I have said this in a previous video, I think it was the FCM one. Always aim for that side, literally on the side of the T-44, you have a good chance of ammo racking them. All in all, if you ask me my opinion on these tanks, they're both very good at making credits. I was quite surprised at that actually. I would go for Dracula first, hands down. Reason being is the looks and how much more usable it is. This tank, I find in 6 months you'll probably find not a lot of people are driving it as often, and you'll find Dracula is everywhere still. It's just so ugly. I'll still try and get it myself, but I will definitely be trying to get Dracula first. And then, if I get time, then I'll go for this tank. If I don't, well, it's not the end of the world if I don't get it, in my opinion. So obviously battle results there. Mastery, 3,100 damage, and a very healthy 72,000 net credits. I know it's a very long video, but I hope you have found it useful and stuck all the way through it to this point. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. And thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.